It's a dirty, dark secret in the black community. One of the reasons we're never going to be successful as a whole because of other black people. And for some reason, we are brainwashed to think if you're not a thug or an idiot, you're not black enough. If you go to school, make good grades, speak intelligent, and don't break the law, you're not a good black person.
All right, if nothing else, that statement started an intense conversation on the web, mainly amongst African Americans who could not be further apart on this issue. Many disagreed with Barkley. Kelly tweets, Charles Barkley cannot speak for all blacks. Those aren't my kind of people. Hashtag dirty dark secret WTF. HLN, can we talk? But Dr. Steve Perry supported the comments with this tweet. If this is what Charles Barkley actually said, I applaud him. The truth can be ugly, but it's the truth. Well, Dr. Steve Perry, founder of Capital Preparatory School, joins us via Skype. Or no, sorry, he's on the phone, actually, along with Kelly Jackson, social commentator. Welcome to you both. Now, Dr. Perry, I want to start with you. You applaud Barkley's comments. So why is that?
Because it's time that we start to be honest with ourselves. We can't heal our community until we accept the challenges that are before us.
But can you get into more detail about that? You say we can't heal the community before we accept the challenges, but
yeah,
it's a very polarizing issue ultimately.
It's not that polarizing. The fact is this, that as somebody who works in the schools every day, I see black children, especially black males, made to feel like there's something wrong with them because they speak as if they're in school. Mm-hmm. I hear them called white and made fun of because of that. And every single time we have this conversation, there's someone who says, yeah, but that's not everyone. We're not saying it's everyone, but we are saying it's a real issue within the black community.
All right, Kelly, you are from a civil rights family ultimately, and you disagree with these comments. Why is that?
I completely disagree. Well, first of all, we need to take away Charles Barkley's black card because he's misinforming white people. Right now, white people act black. So what he's saying, Dr. Perry, I understand the community that he serves, and that's commendable, and that's great, and there are youth who aren't exposed to certain things to mainstream America. But right now, we are mainstream America. I don't hear people say acting white, and I hear people say you're acting ghetto. Because now, if you are left behind, if you don't speak English, if you're not educated, that cuts across all racial lines. So I patently disagree with that comment.
And therein lies the point. The point is that she just said that you would take away his black card, as if it is something that can be taken away by another person, giving that person the authority to do so. That is the point. The very point in Charles Barkley's statement is that the very point that Charles Barkley is making is that we as a community seem to think that some people have more control or more rights to what is black than others. That's a problem. No other group is having that conversation. You don't hear white people saying that I'm going to take away your white
Hold on one second, because Kelly, hold on one second, because I think what's happening also amidst this conversation is the fact that other people are getting in on it with social media, right? On Twitter, on Facebook, we're all getting in on the conversation. This isn't just a conversation amongst African Americans. It's sort of expanded outside those lines. And an analogy that I was making with a producer earlier was that ultimately, is it okay with someone within that race, say Charles Barkley, to make this judgment, but someone from outside that race to make that judgment? Kelly, what do you think about that?
Well, Charles Barkley is speaking as an authority, so he's parsing my words when I'm saying take away his black card. You know what I mean. But he is speaking as if he's
just off my appearance. Do I look ghetto? I look like I'm in the hood, right? How about now? Do I look ghetto now? Do I look like a thug now? Somehow these glasses make me more sophisticated. In the black community, Charles Barkley is telling the God-honest truth about what happens within the black community. More than often, black people criticize other black people on their blackness. And the problem is, what happens is you disconnect yourself from other black people, and of course, you can't stand united and be successful as a whole, as the white race, as even the Hispanic race, as the Asian race, as a lot of other races in this country, because they stand united. Black people bicker within the race, and that's why we don't succeed as a whole. What he's focusing on is the image of black people to black people. Where if, say, you wear glasses, you speak intelligently, intellectually, you may have another black person come to you or over here and say, that person, they trying to sound white. Why you trying to sound white? Keep it real. Keep it real with yourself. Why you trying to sound white? Try to sound all educated. Well, here's the problem. I didn't know that education and speaking properly was a white thing. I thought that was just a human thing. I mean, when you're talking to someone, you don't want to sound stupid. Now, here's the thing. the majority of black people do have a urban dialogue where they say, you know what I'm saying? I'm finna go to the store in a minute. It's in our culture to speak that way, right? There's nothing wrong with it, but to not embrace speaking intelligently and intellectually within sophisticated intellectual forums, environments, says a lot about you as a black person in this country not willing to improve your vocabulary or even accompany or please the opposite of you in a social setting. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Let's say that you were raised in the ghetto. You have a very hood terminology. You know what I'm saying, man? That shit crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Then when you get around more sophisticated environment, perhaps in college, uh, and you feel nervous, you feel odd, you feel like the black sheep, you feel cast out because you listen to them speak, and it's totally, man. I mean, God, I mean, it's just, and you feel odd. That doesn't mean that as a black person in the ghetto, you should start saying like, totally, man. That was awesome. That was radical. It doesn't mean that. It means that you should adapt your dialogue to your environment so you won't alienate those people because they don't know what you're saying. If you were talking to a white person that may not understand the urban dialogue, well, to be honest with you, they have a sense of, but the communication of it. You talk to a white person and you're saying, you know what I'm saying a lot, you may alienate them because they don't know how to really communicate with you. The rapport, right? The rapport between you and that individual is not good. And they're having a hard time communicating with you, right? That's what we're talking about. Charles Barkley is basically talking about black people being afraid to sound intelligent because somehow that strips them of their black card. They're not black anymore if they sound intelligent, which is actually the most devastating statement I've ever heard because it's black people insulting themselves to say that sounding intelligent means you're trying to sound white. So we don't want to sound intelligent. We don't want to sound like we have an education. We want to sound stupid. We want to sound like we have a limited vocabulary. We want to sound like perhaps we didn't graduate from high school. This is what Charles Barkley is saying. When black people say, you're just trying to sound white, you are subconsciously insulting yourself to say, we're black. We sound stupid. We don't talk intelligently. Do you understand his frustrations? Do you understand my frustrations? Because I have that similar perspective of things. And the lady that said, well, we should take Charles Barkley's black card away from him. What the hell does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. She was mad and scared that Charles Barkley exposed something in the black culture that needed to be exposed. Needed to be intellectually broken down so people could understand, well, what is the problem with black people? Charles Barkley said black people are brainwashed. That is the key term. Black people are brainwashed into thinking if you don't sound ghetto, if you don't sound like an idiot, you're not black enough. You're not black. And she says, well, you need to take away his black card. And the professor that opposes that says that's the problem right there. Saying that we need to take away his black card as if that's something you can take away from someone. When you're black, you're black. Now, of course, people would say, well, what about those Uncle Toms? What about those people who don't have any black friends? They only have white friends. They don't hang around black people. Those are just people who don't hang around black people. It's not they hate black people, because you got to keep that in mind also. Maybe they weren't raised around black people. Maybe they were raised in the suburbs. Maybe they're wealthy black people, and in their environment, predominantly white people. So you're asking them to go to the ghettos and hang around black people to say, well, I got my black card. I got my hood pass. I'm ghetto enough. I'm official. I have black friends. Take away your black card? What does that mean? And she's showing signs of ghetto-ness herself. And this is the problem we have. it, the thing is, if you're raised in the ghetto and you speak intelligently in high schools, middle schools, even in elementary, and even out of uh, grade school, you would be cast out and ridiculed as trying to sound white, trying to seem better than other black people. I'm gonna tell you what the truth is. This is the truth about black people who do that. Black people who do that to other black people envy them. They want to sound intelligent. Not even sound intelligent because that's an insult to someone that wants to be intelligent. They want to be intelligent. It's not about sounding intelligent. They want to be intelligent. They want to have intellectual conversations with people about politics. They want to have intellectual conversations about race. They want to have intellectual conversations about the world, global issues. They want to be involved in intelligent debate. What's keeping them from doing it? The fear of looking like you're not black. That's what's keeping them from doing it. See, black people in that particular environment, most of them don't, and this is why high school is so important. A lot of black people don't graduate from high school. They don't obtain the social skills, the confidence to be in a social setting and have confidence to stand as an individual. And when they become adults, young adults, older adults, they still have this immature perspective about life, about society, because they didn't obtain the strength, the confidence in being themselves. Because what? They are brainwashed by the belief that if you're not thuggish, if you don't sag your pants, if you're not shaking your ass over the place, you're not black enough. Charles Barkley is 100% correct. He may be outspoken, he may be kind of rude with things, but the truth is the truth. There's no sense of trying to deflect it and say, well, Charles Barkley's black card has been taken away from him a long time ago. He married a white woman. Nobody care what he got to say. So what if a ghetto person told you that? Oh, you stand in silence. You can't refute anything. Because the truth of the matter is, you're scared to be intelligent. It's a sad reality for black people. Black people, wake up.